Hi, this is Chatboxing. I'm Sean, and this is my post-fight video for the Joseph Parker-Hughie Fury fight from last night. Not the most entertaining fight I've ever seen. Pretty boring stuff. Now, I predicted in my prediction video that Hughie Fury was going to win on points. I thought that his movement and his elusiveness and just his reach advantage, I thought he was going to win pretty much with the jab. I thought that was going to be the main advantage that he had in the fight that he was going to use. In my opinion, that's what happened. I think that he just about edged it. Now, I'm certainly not complaining about the decision. I mean, it could have gone either way. If people scored it for Parker, then I don't have a problem with that. A couple of the scorecards were, pretty crazy. But if you had Parker winning, I suppose he was pushing the action and he was the aggressor. He was the one, trying to make things happen. Hughie Fury was quite negative. So, although I do think that he did just about enough to win, I think he's got himself to blame really for not getting a decision, because he didn't convincingly win, and a lot of the time he was just purely on the back foot, and a lot of the punches he was landing with, for the most part, weren't really effective. Joseph Parker, he did his best. He tried. I mean, I think people are underestimating how difficult an opponent Hughie Fury is, and how good he is at just avoiding punches and just his elusiveness. Now, a lot's being made. People are all laughing at Mick Hennessy when he said that he saw shades of Ali in Hughie Fury's performance. Now, to be honest, I actually agree with that. Now, people are going, "What are you talking about? It's mental," comparing Hughie Fury to Ali. But I agree in terms of his defensive movements. Hughie Fury, in terms of movement, is really, really good. I mean, he does kind of remind me of Ali. The way he literally glides around the ring, and he can go this way, can change direction. He's all around. He's flicking out that jab, almost like a backhand. I mean, and that does remind me of Muhammad Ali. I mean, the difference is that Muhammad Ali also had a very good offense, which Hughie Fury is, lacking somewhat at the moment. But in terms of his defensive movements and his, nimbleness around the ring, yeah, he does kind of remind me a bit of Ali. So that is very, very difficult for Joseph Parker to really get close to him, because he's a little bit flat-footed, Parker, and he doesn't have very long arms. He did, I don't know. I mean, hopefully he would have learned quite a lot from this fight. I know he was sparring with Malik Scott going into it, which in my opinion was a very good sparring partner for this fight. But he just didn't really seem to be able to close the distance. He didn't really, I mean, he tried to land a few jabs to the body. It was the easiest place for him to get to. He did land a few, but generally speaking, he was just, sort of plodding forward, getting hit with a jab, and then, either falling short with his attacks. Or when Hughie Fury got close enough to the ropes, then he'd literally just lunge in and swing a few wild hooks, which for the most part weren't landing. He was catching on the gloves, on the arms, blocking them, leaning back. And Hughie Fury did a very good job defensively. Now, I suppose the argument is that he didn't really do enough to take the title from the champion, and I can see that point of view, because he really was just on the back foot, moving constantly. Although he does do that, I said he'd do that. I said that was the real difficulty that he would pose for Parker. And he's just constantly on the back foot, flicking out that jab. When Parker did come in with those lunges, he'd just tie him up. He did catch him with some good uppercuts coming in, and he did get him with a few good punches where just sort of turn him off the ropes and then come back with a right. But they were very, very few and far between, his power punches. So for me, I gave the edge to Fury just based on the fact that Parker just landed with very, very few punches throughout. I mean, he was just sort of swinging and missing, and he seemed a bit bereft of ideas, really. Now, I don't. It wasn't an impressive performance by either of them, but I don't think people are saying Parker, looked very bad. Well, I don't know, because at the end of the day, he was fighting somebody who's very, very good, is a specialist at elusiveness and avoiding getting hit. So when you're fighting someone like that, who's tall, long reach, very quick on their feet, isn't really engaging much, it's very, very difficult. Now, I would have liked to have seen Parker be a bit more creative in his attacks because he was coming in just sort of like plodding forward a little bit. There was a couple of times when he looked like he was going to try and, just come in, maybe sort of duck under and then come over the top with an overhand right or something, or just kind of, come in, a bit sidestep movement, come in from another angle. He didn't really do that. Now, I suppose you could say Hughie Fury, because he was switching as well, like he was switching up, then he'd like change this direction, that direction. He just found it very, very difficult to pin him down. And I don't think he's going to come against many other fighters who are that good at moving, on that negative as well with it. So, I don't know. I don't know how much we can really criticise Parker for the performance. I think he was fighting against a very, very difficult, tricky opponent. Now, it wasn't an impressive performance by any means by Parker, but I don't think it was terrible either. I mean, I think it's quite clear that he's not ready for people like Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Now, I think he needs to, build himself up a little bit before he starts challenging them. I mean, I thought that before, but I definitely think that's, been reinforced now. In terms of Hughie Fury, now obviously he didn't get the decision. Could have gone his way, but I don't think this is the end of the world for him either, really. I mean, he's like 23 years old. He's very, very talented, but he does have, gaps in his game. Do you know what I mean? Holes in his game. He needs to improve his offense because he's obviously very good back foot. That jab, he can like tie you up well. He's got a good boxing brain, good IQ. Just defensively, very good in every sense. He took some few decent punches. I say Parker didn't land hardly anything, but he did land a couple of decent punches and he took them pretty well. But he needs to work on his offense. He needs to have a bit more bite to him. Because if you compare that fight, the Tyson Fury against Vladimir Klitschko, well, first of all, obviously Vladimir Klitschko is a lot better than Joseph Parker. But also Tyson Fury, although he was quite elusive, although he was there were similarities, he was at least hitting Klitschko with some good punches as well, like making him think twice. He was hitting him with some good straight, he was getting some body shots, he was roughing him up a bit, he was a lot more aggressive at times. Now, Joseph Parker was pretty much able to walk through him. He wasn't able to walk through him because he wasn't there, he was moving constantly. But he didn't have any respect at all, there was nothing preventing him from just marching forward. So that's something that Hughie Fury needs to work on. But to be honest with you, I think that he's still got quite a lot of potential. He's 23 years old. He's very young. I mean, if you look at all the top, people like, how old is it? Anthony Joshua was like, 28 or something? I mean, what was he like when he was 23? Deontay Wilder when he was 23. Do you know what I mean? So he's not ready for that top level. He's put in a good performance against a good opponent, and he hasn't fought for he's been out of the ring like 2 years nearly. And he hasn't really fought against particularly. He's had a couple of decent opponents, but no one really that good. He fought the Ukrainian bloke, I can't remember his name, who was probably his best win. But do you know what I mean? He's still lacking in experience. And I think at this stage of his career, I think there's quite a few positives in that. I mean, he was able to basically outbox a decent opponent on the back foot. He didn't really have enough offense to win convincingly, and the decision went the other way. But 23 years old, I think he's got quite a bright future ahead of him if he can work on those things. Now, if he'd have won that, and then he'd gone in there now with like Anthony Joshua would just walk straight through it at the moment. Deontay Wilder probably struggled against him for some rounds. I mean, I don't know how, probably quite a few rounds, but you'd think at some point his power would tell, and he would just be able to knock Hughie Fury out. So I don't think he was ready to challenge those type of fighters. So I think this is for him back to the drawing board. I saw the interview with Peter Fury, and he was saying that it's possibly a blessing in disguise because now he's going to see that he needs to improve, he needs to work on things, and that's how I see it. He's been out in the ring for a long time. Start getting a bit more active. Start fighting against some decent opponents and just build yourself up. Definitely not a disaster for either of them. Boring fight. I don't think anyone would be calling really to see a rematch. But both of them really, it was a tough fight for both of them. If it had been given a draw, I wouldn't have complained with that either. So yeah, interesting to see where they both go from now. Hughie Fury, I don't know how many options he'll have. He's going to find it quite difficult to get fights, I think, because he's very, very difficult to look good against. Doesn't bring that much money to the table. But, you know, hopefully they can just keep him out and keep him active, keep him in there and just work on that offense a little bit. In terms of Joseph Parker, if he wants to base himself in England, obviously he's got that world title, hasn't he? So people are going to say, oh, he's got to fight at the top people. Fair enough, if that's how you see it. I can't argue with that. But from a kind of strategic point of view, I think there's quite a few people in England, bigger names that he could fight to sort of, you know, keep improving. People like Derek Chisora, David Haye, Tony Bellew, Dylan White. Now, all of those would be tough fights for him. Out of the four of them, I rate Dylan White as the best. But, you know, there are some big fights for him with some big, decent names to keep improving. You know, I think he kind of looked a little bit slower than I've seen him normally. He used to be a bit quicker, I remember. Now, I know he's not someone who, you know, looks, you know, particularly in great shape anyway. He's not one of those people generally, but he did look a little bit fleshy, a bit sort of slow on his feet. And yeah, I think he could potentially trim down a little bit, get his speed up, and yeah, push on from here. Anyway, I've been talking for long enough, so I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think about this, and thank you very much for watching.